Piece in the Times from Martin Fletcher.
That's right. Good morning, Stuart. He's one of the few to have got into Syria of the foreign journalists who've been trying to get in there. And he sends a very interesting report from the third biggest city in Syria, Homs, which has seen an awful lot of unrest and indeed killings by the security forces in Syria to try to quell that uprising over the last number of weeks. Now, he disguised himself as a tourist, as you can see here in this photo, but his passport had been stamped with stamps from Libya and from Egypt, which didn't help him a little later on, as I'll tell in a sec. But anyway, he said he was going to visit Crac des Chevaliers, which is a Crusader castle outside of Homs. He was the only tourist, he said, or the only foreigner in his hotel. He then got a taxi through the streets of Homs, in particular to the more poor areas, where he saw at every intersection 4 tanks parked. At several intersections he counted no less than 100 tanks, and he said it looked like a city placed under martial law. Now, he got speaking to a few locals. Many people were very reticent about speaking to a foreigner. Those who did speak to him said, "It's war." Another said, "It's dangerous, tat, tat, tat," mimicking the sound of gunfire. And they told him not to come out of his hotel after 7 p.m. It's very dangerous indeed. Now, he was arrested sometime afterwards when the taxi he was in was stopped at a checkpoint. He was put into a basement in a detention centre. He got a glimpse past a door, a kind of a metal reinforced door, where he saw just scores of young men. And as he put it, in an attempt to crush the uprising in Homs, the regime was arresting every male of fighting age that it could lay its hands on. Now, he was lucky enough to be released because they couldn't really disprove his story of being a tourist, even though at the bottom of his bag there was a notebook with all of the things he'd been noting down, which they didn't find. But he said really the time he was there, even though it was short, was enough for him to see that a pernicious regime was using tanks and guns, fear and intimidation to crush the legitimate demands of its people for freedom and democracy. Just a quick point to add on to that story. In Gawker, they're talking about a fawning article that was written by Vogue magazine back in February about the wife of Bashar al-Assad, the British-born Asma al-Assad. She was described as a rose of the desert, glamorous, young and very chic, while her husband was, I suppose, involved in a crackdown in his own country. That article, not surprisingly, has been taken offline because it was the subject of a lot of criticism in the press.
All right, some fascinating articles on Syria.
Yes.
Particularly that first one, really good stuff. Okay, New York Times, back to more traditional subjects, Bin Laden.
That's right. Just a quick whip through what they're saying about after Bin Laden, US reassesses Afghan strategy. Now, they're talking about the fact that Senator John Kerry, who's actually on his way to Pakistan soon apparently, he said that it's simply unsustainable to continue to spend $10 billion a month on this war, especially in the light of Bin Laden having been captured. If we move to The Guardian, they're also talking about this. The opposite end of the spectrum. Don't abandon Afghanistan, plead generals. Now, American generals and a British general, who is now the number 2 in the struggle in Afghanistan, has said now is not the time to draw down troops. So there you go. Lots of coverage on that as well. To stay or not to stay.
And still some people demanding the photo of Osama bin Laden's body.
That's right. As we read in the Daily Mail and in a lot of the American press too, some senators will now have the chance to book an appointment at the CIA headquarters to view the photos. Now, there have been a lot of freedom of information requests, but they're not going to be made available to the public. That still remains the case, but some senators will get to see those gory pics. One person who won't get to see the pics, though, is one of Osama bin Laden's sons, who spoke to the press in the last day or two, saying that he wouldn't believe that his father was dead until he saw the photos, until he saw proof. And he also said that Osama is as bad as Obama. Now, he was estranged from his father, but still very critical of the way in which his father was killed.
Okay, and finally, you're going to talk about Rome.
That's right.
The day Rome fell.
The day Rome fell, a seismologist by the name of Raffaele Bandandi, many, many decades ago, predicted that Rome would be totally destroyed today in a devastating earthquake. Now, apparently, he got it right once, back in 1923, when he predicted an earthquake then. So, apparently, 18% of city workers in Rome are staying away from work today, and thousands are also staying away from Rome. Just tourists are not going in there, those who are, I suppose, worried about that prediction. So, let's just hope he was wrong. But some people a little bit concerned about that prediction.
Okay. Well, we hope
we hope he was wrong.
We hope he is wrong. Otherwise, our correspondent there, Josephine McKenna, is going to have a very busy day.
Yes, she will indeed. Yeah.
All right, James. Thank you very much. James Creedon here with his look through the international newspapers. Let's have a look at the headlines here on France 24 once again. Then coming out.